Hey there, welcome to a mind-bending journey into the world of Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. Imagine a man who spent 30 years diving into the mysteries of the human psyche, only to admit that some questions, like the complexities of the female mind, still eluded him. That's Freud for you, bold, controversial, and endlessly curious. Today, we're unpacking his most thought-provoking ideas, not just to quote him, but to explore what they mean for us in 2025. Why do we hide from our emotions? What drives our deepest desires? And how can understanding our unconscious mind change the way we live? Stick around, because this is going to challenge how you see yourself and the world. Let's dive in. Freud once described the mind as an iceberg, with only a fraction visible above the surface. The rest, a vast, hidden world of unconscious thoughts and desires that shape everything we do. This idea is at the heart of psychoanalysis. Freud believed our actions aren't just random. They're rehearsals of thoughts bubbling up from the unconscious. For example, that argument you had with your partner, it might not just be about leaving dishes in the sink. It could be tied to deeper, unacknowledged fears or insecurities. Let's break this down. Freud suggested that unexpressed emotions don't just vanish, they fester, sometimes showing up in ways we don't expect, like anxiety or even physical symptoms. Think about it, have you ever felt a knot in your stomach before a big meeting? That's your unconscious screaming for attention. In my own life, I've noticed how suppressing frustration at work led to snapping at a friend over something trivial. Freud's point, ignoring our emotions, is like ignoring a leaky pipe. Here's a gem from Freud rephrased. Most of us crave freedom, but we're terrified of the responsibility it brings. Sound familiar? In 2025, we're bombarded with choices, career paths, relationships, even what to binge on streaming platforms. But with every choice comes the weight of owning the outcome. Freud argued that people often shy away from true freedom because it means taking accountability for their lives. Let's look at a real-life example. Meet Sarah, a 28-year-old graphic designer I know. She dreamed of freelancing to travel the world but stayed in a soul-crushing corporate job because it felt safe. The fear of failing on her own kept her stuck. Freud would say Sarah's avoiding the responsibility of freedom, letting fear dictate her choices. This resonates with his idea that we defend ourselves by forgetting what scares us. Sarah wasn't just forgetting her dreams, she was burying them to avoid the risk of failure. Freud had a lot to say about love, and it's not all rosy. He believed relationships are a double-edged sword. They bring joy but also expose us to suffering. One of his quotes, adapted here, is that self-imposed loneliness is a shield against the pain of relationships. But here's the kicker. Freud also thought love, especially from a mother, gives us a lifelong sense of confidence, like a conqueror ready to take on the world. Let's make this real with a story. Growing up, my friend James had a mother who showered him with encouragement, always telling him he could achieve anything. That belief carried him through college and into a successful career as an entrepreneur. But relationships, that's where it gets messy. James once shared how betrayal by a close friend left him guarded, choosing solitude over vulnerability. Freud would nod knowingly here. Betrayal, he said, oozes out of every pore when trust is broken. My take, we need to balance openness with self-protection. Freud's views on sexuality are some of his most controversial. He believed everyone is born with a fluid sexual nature, shaped by life experiences. He also argued that unfulfilled desires, like those tied to sex, can leave us mentally drained. In the original video, he calls masturbation the greatest addiction, a bold claim that reflects his view of sexuality as a driving force in our psyche. Let's ground this in today's world. Consider Alex, a 35-year-old software engineer who grew up in a conservative household where sex was a taboo topic. As an adult, he struggled with shame around his desires, which affected his relationships. Therapy helped him unpack these feelings, revealing how suppressed desires were fueling his anxiety. Freud's insight here is powerful. Ignoring our sexual nature doesn't make it disappear. It just shows up in other ways, like stress or self-doubt. My analysis, we need to normalize open conversations about desire, not to obsess over it, but to Freud didn't sugarcoat life's big questions. He said searching for the meaning of life can drive us to the edge of sanity because, frankly, there might not be one. Instead, he encouraged finding joy through self-discovery and limiting life's endless possibilities to focus on what truly matters. Here's a personal reflection. A few years ago, I was obsessed with finding my purpose. I read every self-help book, listened to every podcast, but felt more lost than ever. Then I realized Freud's point. Meaning isn't a destination. It's in the small choices we make, like pursuing a passion project or helping a friend. In 2025, with AI and tech promising instant answers, we're still wrestling with these timeless questions. Freud's advice: experiment with life, find what brings you joy, and let that guide you. Freud saw civilization as a delicate balance, born when humans chose words over violence. But he warned that our innate aggression threatens to unravel it. The mind, like an iceberg, hides most of its workings, and our unconscious drives, like envy or hostility, can destabilize society. Look at social media in 2025. Platforms like X amplify our voices, but also our conflicts. I've seen friends spiral into arguments online, driven by envy or misunderstanding, echoing Freud's point about human enmity. My take: we need to channel our instincts into constructive dialogue, not digital shouting matches. Civilization depends. So what can we take from Freud's wisdom in 2025? His ideas, though over a century old, still hold up. The unconscious mind shapes us, our fears hold us back, and our desires drive us forward. But here's the big lesson: understanding yourself is the key to a meaningful life. Don't run from your emotions or desires. Embrace them, explore them, and use them to grow. Start small. Reflect on one choice you're avoiding, one emotion you're burying, and take a step toward facing it. Freud's work reminds us that the journey inward is messy, but it's worth it. If you found this deep dive into the human mind eye-opening, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. What's one Freudian idea that resonates with you? Let's keep the conversation going.